So it's been nearly a week now since Crimson Desert released, and yeah, I'm going to have to really try hard not to say Black Desert. It's just a muscle memory. So I've been trying to think about how I'm going to approach my review for Crimson Desert, and I've come to the conclusion that I'm just not going to get a review out in the next 2 weeks minimum. Probably next Christmas, actually, the way I go. So I decided to do, for the first time, a first impressions video just to give you my first impressions and to give you a general bead on how I think the game is going. Now, it's fair to say that the release has not gone exactly to plan for Pearl Abyss. They did get a few negative reviews, which I'll come on to in a bit. My opening first impression of this game is, wow. This is an incredible game with massive scope, loads of ambition, and it feels like that game that people always talk about. You know, the one where they've got like 4 or 5 different favourite games and they just wish they could bolt them all together into the same place. But do it in a way that makes sense, not just like have my favourite game, say XCOM 2, which is one of my favourite games, and have some, I don't know, Witcher 3 in there. It wouldn't make sense.
And around we go again.
Now, anyone who's ever played an ambitious game knows that the more depth and the more content you put into a game, the more things can go wrong. There's just so many aspects you have to like balance and get right. So I think considering the sheer amount of concepts and mechanics and ideas they've managed to get into this game, I am amazed it works so well and feels so cohesive.
Help! Someone get me out! Phew. Thank you for saving me. The horse is tripped over.
I will address one of the game's biggest criticisms so far, and that is the writing and the story. I think most people have agreed that the story and the writing isn't the best, and to be honest with you, that's not why you're going to come to this game if you want to play this game. To me, this game's more about exploration, about finding that hidden cave, about the combat, about the building of the world, and the story is there, and I found it to be pretty decent actually. The opening sequence, you get to meet Cliff and a few of the other Greymanes, and I think they're well acted. I think they're all full of personality, and I was kind of like chuckling to myself with the Scottish accents at the beginning of the game. I found it to be quite entertaining, so maybe that's just me.
Hey, Cliff.
Wish I'd just died on the battlefield.
Just eat it, Naira. There you are. Perfect timing as always. Sit down, dig in.
We're still missing Ryan. Probably dead.
Everyone got a bowl? Yeah?
I suppose that's one less mouth to feed, eh?
Oi! Could make it 2 less mouths, you know.
If you got a fight left in you, get your ass back out there. No one's stopping you. Now shut up and eat.
We're just gonna sit here sipping this pig swill. I'd rather eat black bear's bleed.
Hey! You looking to get some manners beaten into you? You better fucking pick that up!
Or what, Jan? You gonna make me?
Fine. That's enough.
Forget it. Bloody bastard.
Cranky ginger twat.
That's enough. Our fight isn't over.
I think maybe the issue for some people will be pacing, which is really important to a story. Now, because the game world is so vast and massive, you couldn't realistically have story every single few minutes. And so they've had to kind of like fragment the story into bite-sized chunks all over the place. And I found that to be quite entertaining, because one minute I'm doing various things that are not story based, and then I'll come across somebody on a road who needs help, or there'll be an attack on a fort, and then the game will lead you into these nice little dialogue parts. I actually found the first few hours to be very entertaining. You do get to speak to a lot of different NPCs, and again, I found the acting to be very, very good. There's one moment where you meet this beggar and you give him some money, and it turns out to be quite an important character. This then leads you to your first experience of the Abyss and these what are known as Sky Islands. You might be familiar to this type of idea from games like Zelda. And I'll be honest, this was jaw-dropping for me. I got there and I was just looking around, and you look down over the edge and you can see the entire world below you.
You're finally here. He's waiting for you. This power will help you get inside.
So whenever a game first releases, my first port of call is Steam. I always go there just to get a general idea of how it's been received and see if there's any immediate problems. And I was surprised, as I'm no doubt Pearl Abyss were, that the game was landing at a mixed rating straight away. So I immediately went to the Steam reviews and just had a general read of what people were complaining about. And the most complained about aspect was the movement of the main character. They were saying that it felt sluggish, slow, unresponsive, and I have to agree with that, but not in the way that it's a negative. This actually reminds me of when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. I think the game was widely regarded as one of the best games ever made, and that was great, but one thing that people did consistently complain about was the movement of Arthur, and he does move slower than most games, and that's because I think Rockstar were going for a more authentic movement. The thing about games is, and if you play MMOs, this is a bit of an ongoing joke, is that when you hit forward, your character immediately leaps into action and goes forward at full pace. And so you don't get a realistic movement of the character. Now it does that because in games like MMOs, being in the right place at the right time, or getting out of an AoE at the right moment is imperative. And if you had Arthur Morgan playing an MMO, you'd be dead within 10 minutes. So I'm not saying these people are wrong, they're entitled to their opinion, and if they feel like the character should move faster or with more urgency, that's fine. But you can tell that the developers at Pearl Abyss are trying to make things more realistic, and so this is part and parcel of that. I also think it's a real shame for these people, because most of them, they were like 1 hour reviews. They've obviously played it, they didn't like what they were seeing, they've given this negative review, and then they've obviously refunded the game and not giving it a chance to get going, because once you get used to the movement, it does feel like the character has more depth and more weight, which I think for this type of game is actually pretty important. Like when you're walking around the towns and the villages, if you bump into somebody, they actually recoil properly, or if you bang somebody with a horse, they'll fall over. All of this is part and parcel of that more momentum-based movement. So it really is important to the games like Flow. So let's address the elephant in the room. This game is absolutely stunning. It is one of the most beautiful, best looking games I've ever played. And it's not just about the technical side of things, although that is good. So they made this engine special for this game, and it really has paid off. Not just the performance, but the way it runs, the view distance as well is incredible. The line of sight, and when you stand on a building at night, you can see individual villagers going about their business in the distance. I'm talking like miles away, and the game is running all that in real time. It is so impressive. And that in itself has had me sat there at night sometimes on a rooftop, just watching the world go by, watching the stars, watching how things are moving around, watching villagers going about their daily tasks, farmers putting away the animals at night, kids like finishing playing in the yards and going home to get their food. All of this is running all around you, and it makes the game feel so alive. And that is why these graphics are so important, because they build that and they ground you in that experience. It is just a stunning place to be.
Hiya.
Now this here is one of my favourite spots. The view from the bridge is absolutely breathtaking. It'd be a shame to just hurry past. Let's take it slow. We deserve a little serenity every now and again.
I'm trying my very best to keep this preview and this first impressions brief, because I do intend on doing a full review at some point. But even my list of things I wanted to mention is a bit overwhelming actually, because there are so many systems in this game. The combat isn't just normal combat. You've got all kinds of different moves. You've got wrestling moves. You've got these magical abilities you can gain with your sword. You've got all these different upgrades. You've got a full skill system, which is different for each of the 3 playable characters. You've got all kinds of different life skills. So you've got cooking, you've got fishing, you've got farming even. I've not even seen that yet. I just also wanted to make the point about these life skills, and in particular cooking, because it's a good example of what I'm trying to say, is that a lot of the criticism for this game has been about this game being a time sink or a waste of time. It's been like a full of things that just don't make any sense or don't work. And the cooking itself is really good. You have to find the ingredients, it's all well presented. When you've finished, you are presented with an actual meal. You can see the person cooking the food, and you can tell there's been a lot of effort put into that one thing. And all of the systems are like this, even from things like you find an NPC with like a block chimney, and you've got to pick it up and go up and actually do it properly. You don't just press a button and it gets done. So 24 hours before the game came out, we got the reviews landing, and I think it was a surprise for most people that they were so low. Now, 7s and 8s are not bad. They're actually a good score. It's just that people were expecting the game to do a little bit better. Now, it turns out that the average was brought down by what I think are some very unfair reviews. I'm not going to go into them too much, but it's the usual suspects. It's IGN with a very, I would say, obtuse review that doesn't really do the game justice, and some very strange criticisms. And also outlets like Eurogamer that I don't even see as a game journalist website anymore. They more give these hot takes, and I see them as usually bad takes on games and general things going on in the industry. I'll just finish off my criticism of these reviews by saying that it really does bother me that a review can have so much negative effect on a company. Now, Pearl Abyss lost up to 30% of their value of their company because the reviews were not good. Now, if they deserved that, if this was a fair criticism, I would say, yeah, well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But unfortunately, I feel like a lot of these criticisms that have come towards the game are not justified, are not grounded in reality, and are just because the game is, for example, one of them criticised the game for not having enough inclusivity. Like, that is not a negative, that's just something that they've chosen not to do. But they shouldn't be lambasted for not having enough black people or enough disabled people or enough trans options. I applaud games that have these options if the developer chooses to put them in. But they should certainly not have a negative review because they don't put them in. As I'm doing my first impressions quite late, I've actually been able to look at the new patch number 3 that came out last night, and it's generally been received as a very good update. It's obvious that Pearl Abyss wants to keep updating the game quite fast, and they are quite competent at doing that. So some of the main things they've changed are they've added storage to some of the main locations, which is an absolute amazing thing to do, because yeah, storage is one of the things that's really dragging the experience down for me, and now knowing that we've got more storage is great. By the way, if you're playing the game for the first time, you can actually buy more storage from NPCs around the different villages and towns, just to bear that in mind. They've also tinkered with lots of quality of life things. So, for example, having like an exit button on the main menu, it sounds like a stupid thing, but it's not being there. It means a lot more faffing around to get out of the game. And also, this has been a bit contentious, is they've messed around with the boss fights, making them slightly more easier. Now, I get it, like if you've been playing the game and you've beaten a boss and it was an absolute fight, and then somebody just comes along and makes it 10 times easier, yeah, you're going to be a bit pissed off about that. I understand that. But for most people, they were saying the fights were just way too vicious at some points. Like one of the bosses would chain attack you and there's nothing you could do about it. Now, players being players, they found ways around it, like dug their feet in and finished it. But for most people, if they get to that point and they get put off the game by that one boss, that's not really something that I want to see. And so I'm glad they've made some changes. Now maybe they'll balance it a bit more or add some more difficulty level gauges in there so people can like adjust it for themselves. But I do think it's really positive that Pearl Abyss are taking on board what people are saying and adding things like new waypoints. And so yeah, overall really positive, and it does bode well for the future of the game if they're moving this fast this early on.
Should be fine. Oh, you're the one who helped my friend. I have a gift for you. I'm sure it'll come in handy. Now the power of nature flows through you. If Rulipi trusts you, then I can entrust this power to you. See ya.
So I guess the question is, do I recommend this game to try based on my first impressions? And yes, I absolutely do. I think this is a very important game. I think it's got some rough edges. There are certain issues that the game has, and there's no doubt about that. But if you can get past some of these, which I think are minor issues, there is such an amazing adventure waiting for every player here that they are worth getting past. Because once you get to the 10, 15, 20 hour mark, the game really does start to open up and add more and more systems. And it is almost overwhelming that how much work they've put into this game. It is incredible. So my plan going forward is to carry on playing the game and basically get as far as I can, finish the game, and just have a general bigger sense of what the game is all about, and see if the game's quality drops off near the end. Now, so far, if the game keeps throwing stories and small little quests at me in the frequency that it has been doing, I'm going to be really happy with this towards the end. Now, I do know I've seen snippets from other players and other content creators, say, like some of the things they found, like secret bases, underground caverns, all that kind of stuff, secret armor. Honestly, I've not even mentioned like 2/3 of the things I found, and I know there's so much more out there to discover. So yeah, I'm just really excited, and I'll finish by saying that the last few times I've been playing, I've actually caught myself. I'm just sat there smiling because I'm just having so much fun playing this game. And I think that's a real testament to how much quality there is here for people. So yeah, I definitely recommend you jump in and try it. So if you're still here at the end, thank you very much for watching my video all the way, and I hope it's helped you. I hope it's maybe given you a better idea of what the game is all about. I've always tried to be honest with my content, and if I get something wrong or you don't agree with me, that's completely fine with me. This is just one guy and his opinion, but I hope it's helped you anyway. I'd just like to say hello and thank you to all my new subscribers. I really appreciate you joining the group, and I look forward to bringing you more content soon. I think April is now, I'm going to have a couple of weeks now where I'm just playing this and getting the review done, and also finishing my Guild Wars 2 content. But yeah, I'm hoping to find some more little snippets on the way, so watch out for them. And yeah, that's it. Thanks very much, guys. If you could leave a comment as well, I'd really appreciate that. Let me know if you are playing, what you think of the game systems, and generally what are your impressions. I'd love to hear from you. Alright guys, take care. Thanks very much.
Here, take these wings. The power to soar through the open skies is yours to command. It's time to return.
You're telling me to jump? Worry not. Those wings will see you down safely.
Now, take flight.